All right, ladies and gentlemen, episode 4 of the HESN Football Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler McLaren, here with Jesse Card. How you doing, brah?
I'm good. Week 4, I'm glad to be here. Let's get her done.
Man, the funny part about football is you wait and wait for it to come, and then when it comes, it's like halfway done. You realize it's here, and then it's like, we're September, and September's almost over. My birthday's coming up October 4th, and NFL started, CFL's winding down. It's just like before you know it, all the football's gone except for NFL, but football's the best.
It flies by, and I was telling my team a little bit that a couple weeks ago I said, like, you only have couple opportunities. You got 8 games, right? Yeah. And in those games, you've only got a few opportunities to execute a play that matters, and those are precious downs. And it's always like, once you realize that when you don't practice 100% or you're doing things halfway in a game, you're cheating yourself an opportunity to succeed. Yeah, and a lot of time goes into being in a position to make a play. So I always think you always have to reinforce how short that season is and how precious every down is.
And that's you have to, and I think that's very well said. And I think it's always like life is about being young and not listening to people that are older than you, and then getting that age and being like, damn, why didn't I listen? That's how I always felt about all these people that told me these things. And then I was like, if I just would have got an 85 instead of a 77, what my options would have been. If I just would have enjoyed football a little more, maybe I would have, been able to do better, instead of looking at it like a chore half the time. When you get older, you get older. So, but football's the best, and I think it's a great opportunity for kids to get out there. And you look at the terrible weather last weekend. Oh, yeah. It was raining all weekend. It was terribly cold. But you know what I saw? I saw every down get played at full speed, and kids are having a blast. And it's good to see kids actually going out there when the weather is that terrible.
You know what? At the end of the day, when you're on the sideline, you're a parent and you're getting soaked or whatever, it can be kind of suck. But when you're out there and you play the first down, it's actually fun playing.
It is, and you forget about it.
Oh, yeah.
You literally forget about it. Like on Saturday, it was the wind was a little chilly. Sunday, it was a little warmer, even though it was wet. And you weren't on grass. You were on a field.
We're playing Minto, there. So and actually it cleared up for the Bantam game.
That's right.
It was actually a beautiful day.
It actually turned out good at 3:00 on.
But we got completely soaked in our pregame.
Yeah, which is the worst. That's actually the worst.
Yeah.
You get soaked. So. Well, there we go. We're going to do a quick little roundup here of some OUA and Ottawa Sooners action. Just take a little look at the local teams and what's going on in the OUA, as we always do at the start of the podcast. The biggest game last week, I think the biggest surprise was the McMaster Marauders and Ottawa Gigi's battling it out to a 57-42 victory for the McMaster Marauders.
Yeah, there's some offenses there.
Yeah, or lack of defense. You have to look at it. But everyone saw the highlight probably of the McMaster Marauders with that little pooch rugby punt.
That's awesome.
That was wicked.
It was perfectly dropped in.
You couldn't even dream that it could get executed that perfectly. It was literally perfect.
I'm not surprised because I always and I'm not saying this because I'm biased, but McMaster seems like they've always are very creative, and they're able to do things like that. I just think it's neat. They had a lot of fake punts last year, and even in the Vanier Cup, they did a fake punt pass with Tyler Capina, who's an Ottawa boy, Myers Rider, right? So, and then he went on eventually to win the Vanier Cup in 2011 in double overtime against Laval with his field goal.
That's right.
But that's in a big game like that, to be loose enough to try something like that. I've been on teams where coaches would never tried something like that.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? Ptacek has always been sort of extremely progressive. Even I remember you talking about the offense that he used to run at Laurier when you were playing defensive back in McMaster, just being like, it's not like anyone else's. So I practice against all these teams that's all sort of one way, and then this offense comes in, and there's this extra whole wrinkle that I can't even comprehend in my mind.
Yeah, when we played them back, I remember I was playing halfback, and you run the coverage all season the way that you're taught to, but then the week before Laurier, we have to run it differently.
Yeah.
that's the challenge that he gives.
But that's what good coaches do, and people always forget about that. It's what makes a great coach is not always just about the X's and O's. It's about when you implement the X's and O's and how people execute the X's and O's. Because anyone can have the best playbook, but do you have the balls to call it? Do you have the balls to practice it to make sure that it's executed properly in the game? Someone's going to try that play that McMaster tried. They're going to blow it, and it's going to be a touchdown the other way. Mm-hmm. And McMaster does it first, and they usually do it right. And it's cool to see. So that was a good game. Ottawa used for real.
Yep.
Let's just say that they're for real. They dominate Queens.
Well, this week's important too, right? Because this is going to be a separation week with some of the matchups that are there. You look at that. You look to October 3rd in the Panda game now. Carleton has a big test this week playing. What, U of T?
U of T, Toronto's in Carleton, so that's a huge game. Carleton dominated Windsor last week, but Carleton's 2-1. They got Toronto at home this week. They can't even be thinking about the Panda game, in my opinion. They need to be worrying about Toronto. Toronto is no joke. They're not a great team, but they're in that pack with Carleton. I think that's, again, if Carleton loses that game, it doesn't matter really what happens in the Panda game. They're probably not going to make the playoffs, and that's not going to be good for the sort of the motivation of the team, I don't believe.
Their trajectory.
Exactly.
That would be a step back.
But a win would be huge. And I think based on their losing week 1, I think sometimes that's a reality check. And I wouldn't be surprised if Carleton comes out and has a really good game against Toronto. And I think they're going to execute really well, and I think they're going to have a pretty successful game. The defense is going to be playing really hard because last year they got torched. Luigi Costanzo, offensive coordinator, he dominated them last year. And that quarterback threw for like 450 yards or something crazy. So they're going to be looking for revenge there. I expect them to play well.
Yeah, I think they still got their quarterback and that receiver, Nassar or whatever. Yeah. And those guys can light it up.
They can play football.
They've got a couple of really good returners too.
Yeah.
So, but I also think that the psyche of the Carleton Ravens is still a factor.
Yeah.
I think they're still young mentally.
They are.
And having beat up, they did beat up on Toronto last year, right? Offensively,
they won that was a weird game. They had some big plays, but they also had some very, as Carleton did last year, it was an 80-yard run followed by 4 3-and-outs, followed by a 65-yard touchdown.
Okay.
And then a blocked punt.
Well, my point was just that the fact that they do, with a young program like that, when you're facing a team that you've already beaten once, it's a little bit of a lift of like mentality.
Oh,
right?
okay, a lift.
Yeah, because we beat these guys before. It's not like we've never beat them. I think when you play like a Laval or you play a St. Mary's back in the day, like our McMaster teams did, there was always the opposite where like we've never beat these guys.
And you couldn't almost mentally get around it.
Yeah, it puts you back a bit, mentally. You psych yourself out.
And I think that it's going to be a huge test for Carleton. I'm really excited. I hope they can come out and win because I want to see these guys do well. Mac and Guelph.
Awesome.
That's the game of the weekend in the OUA. That's really, again, like you talked about, the separation is going to come into it. McMaster looks to be all-world. Guelph looks to be pretty good. So we'll see what happens there. Queens versus Western. The reason I sort of want to mention that quickly is that we're going to see if Queens loses 65-10, we're going to know that they have some growth to do. But if they can sort of make it a 47-27 type of game, then maybe they've just had a couple bad weeks. Yeah. But, Queens, I don't really feel too confident what they're doing there now, even though they beat Carleton week 1. That's sort of the recap we want to talk about the OUA. I guess I don't even mention who Ottawa's playing this week, so it must be someone who they should beat. Sooners. Last couple weeks, 2 wins in a row, 44-18 versus Burlington 2 weeks ago, 28-8 versus the GTA Grizzlies last week. The stats for this week's game are not up yet. I went to the OFC website. All the other games are there from the previous weeks, but this week's still not up. So
the Sooners page isn't updated either, and I don't want to harp on it. I know we talked about it last week, but I think it's important. I think if this program wants to succeed, when you drop little details like that, the kids notice, and it's going to impact their ability to recruit. So I will put out the thing. We are here to help. HESN and House Edge Media is dedicated to providing the most professional quality media and sports marketing. So if you guys want to do something about it, let's get in contact and let's get it done together, okay?
And you know what? It's simple stuff, and we just want to work with you guys. Just the quick updates, some good video content. You guys got some great players, and you know what? Part of sports marketing is just making sure that your stuff's up to date. And you got to make sure that when someone needs to know the score or when your next game is, they can know where to get it. Their next game will be September 26th. I believe it's in Burlington. They have a bye next week.
That's the Stampeders.
Stampeders?
Burlington, is it?
I don't know. I thought they're Burlington Braves for some reason in the OFC. I seem to remember. I remember I played against them. You remember that guy Joey?
Yep. They ended up getting married with our friend down there.
Oh, they got married?
They got married.
Oh, that's so funny. Yep. But we played. I remember I met him when I was at first year, and then I played junior the year after, and he was on the team, and he popped me. Yeah. And he's like, "Hey, Ty." I was like, "Yo, Joey, what's up?"
Yeah, I haven't seen you since we were partying in
That's
dorm.
right. So it was pretty cool, and it was like he was a good player, and he was really aggressive. But we had a good game. I think we ended up winning that game. I remember it was one of my last good games. I remember running around there and I was throwing some balls. It was fun. But it's just the funny memories you see the people around.
So that's a big game for them.
Yeah, big game.
How are HESN guys doing? I know Devin Paul is out there.
Yeah.
I think he had limited time at home last time.
Can't really see the stats. Right? We just saw the stats for the last week.
Right.
This week's stats aren't up yet. But we know Jordan King had a couple touchdowns a couple weeks ago, so he's the EPA athlete. He's training at the DDD program with Pat Woodcock and Donnie Ruiz. And he had a couple touchdowns. He's starting to break through, get that inexperience, become experienced.
He's doing what he did all summer at the EPA DDD, right?
Pulling in touchdowns.
He's catching balls, man. That guy's hands are unreal.
Yeah, and pardon my pronunciation, but Kwasi Gwamfi, he dominated 11 carries, 131 yards against the Burlington whatever team they're called, 44-18 win there a couple weeks ago, 131 yards and 11 carries. And this guy was at Carleton. I saw a photo of him on the internet with the Carleton jersey on. So we know he's got skills playing at Sooners, and it's good to see guys. And 2 wins in a row. Big job.
I saw something that you posted. Valancourt's on the field now for Carleton.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I guess so.
I
just saw the photo of him in uniform.
Yeah, his game uniform. So
I know he's a great player, and I
think that was against Waterloo. He's probably active.
So I'm going to take a look next week in the big match against Toronto, and I think a guy like him is sort of an X factor. He's a physical cornerback. He brings a lot of attitude. I think he's liked in the locker room. I think he's a really nice guy.
He's a big dude. Yeah.
Big guy, physical, and I think the modern cornerback needs to be able to support the run, step up, and based on his size, I'm imagining he can do that. Even though I haven't seen him play because has been on the field there the last couple of years. But great stuff going in the OUA and the Sooners. We're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, we're going to be looking at NCAFA. We're going to be breaking down power rankings. At this time of year, we always pull out the power rankings to really see the cream of the crop and see how it all buckles down. So we're going to be right back after this quick message from one of our sponsors.
We're looking for athletes who want to become the best. They don't have to be the best now. We're looking for guys who are willing to fully immerse themselves in the process, trust what we're trying to give them, and that are ready to come and work each and every day. It's grind, right? We go 6 days a week for 12 to 14 weeks, depending on how the season plays out. It just like a training camp, it starts to grind after a little while. So we're looking for guys that have the right mindset, the guys that walk the walk and don't just talk the talk. There's lots of guys, we talk a lot about the guys who like the idea of being a football player. They're the football jacket guys, right? The guys that want to have the jacket so they can say they play football. We're looking for the guys that really want to play the game.
Welcome back, everybody. Tyler McLaren from the HESN Football Podcast. The voice that you just heard, that's Pat Woodcock, co-owner of Elite Performance Academy. He is looking for athletes right now to register for his off-season training program. If you want more information about how to do that and what they offer at their facility, go to eliteperformanceacademy.ca, or you can go to hesn.co, contact us through there, and we can give you guys all the information that you need. That is eliteperformanceacademy.ca. Go and check them out. But right now, NCAFA time. Power rankings.
Let's get to it.
I don't like to do power rankings too early in the year because, in my opinion, like the NFL has their power rankings out from week 1, and it's like people went down from their preseason ranking. How could you go down from being 0-0? Like, at the end of the day, you have some preseason stuff. I think they should wait until 4 weeks happen. After 4 weeks, then I think you should develop a power rankings. And then from there, you can see, okay, what happens and where the changes are. So that's what we do here. And we're going to start with the Bantam division. And obviously, if you look at the Bantam standings, it is extremely West heavy. The West of Ottawa right now in this phase is dominating in the Western, in the Bantam division. The number one team, we've talked about it a little bit on the podcast last few weeks. I have to go with the West Carleton Wolverines.
I agree.
It's because I guess you could say that the best running back and maybe the best receiver on the same team. They got a good quarterback.
Yep.
They're fundamentally sound. They're well coached. They got a bunch of kids
Great
that show up to
O-line.
practice.
Great O-line.
And they're physical in the trenches.
Yep.
And all those things remind me of what? Myers Riders. Sounds like an old Myers Riders team that's tough in the trenches. The difference between this team is that everyone doesn't hate them. You know what I mean? Because Myers has that bad guy. They're the bad guys. Everyone knows that. And the West Carleton are sort of like, I think people overlook them a bit, and then they come out and they punch them in the teeth.
Well, yeah, because history is influencing us, right?
That's right.
Like they aren't strong at Bantam. They haven't been for a while. And really, John Buck and the Myers Riders have dominated the Bantam division for the last decade.
25 years.
Okay.
I won a Bantam championship with Myers 20 years ago or whatever it was. How old am I? So the whole point is that Myers have traditionally always been the powerhouse, but now you start seeing some of these suburban teams, West Carleton, Bell Warriors, they're minor programs. These kids that dominated from Tyke and Mosquito and Pee Wee, they're now fully developed and they're bantam. And the West Carleton Wolverines are proof that when you focus on the Tykes and the Mosquitoes, the program develops properly.
And I think another perfect example is the Brockville area, right?
That's right.
They've invested in that Tyke and Mosquito, and they built it up. Now they have a bantam team, and they're relevant. They're a good
and midget.
Good
They're physical and they're fundamentally sound. So that's great. West Carleton number 1. I went with Bel Air at number 2. The reason I went with Bel Air at number 2 is there's a couple teams all jumbled up there, but they're the defending champions.
Yep.
They got a ton of great players. Liam Paquette being my favorite player on their team.
He's explosive.
Special teams and on defense. We know they're extremely well coached. We know they're extremely motivated. We know they're extremely tough.
Yep.
And all those things always are going to make them a tough opponent. They won 37-20 against the Mustangs this weekend. Mustangs are unfortunately 0-3, but they've been in most of the games they've played. So again, just low numbers, and a couple other guys aren't on their team, so we know they're gone on to bigger and better things. But Bel Air at number 2. Number 3, I got the Red Blacks.
Yeah, and I don't disagree. So far, I'm in complete compliance here because the Rideau team is a team that I'm excited to play. It's a couple weeks from now.
Yep.
The Warriors are going to be playing them, and they've got a really athletic quarterback. They can throw the ball. They throw the ball a lot, actually, and it's kind of an American-style offense.
It's an American-style offense, and just to let you guys know, the reason why Jesse's not sort of speaking up so much is he is a coach at the Bantam Division, so he's just sort of going to put in a few 2 cents. Doesn't want to ruffle any feathers and create any bulletin board material for his boys there, but nonetheless, they do run an American-style system. It's not a complicated system. It doesn't look like there's tons of motion. Line up look like a tight end type of situation. 2 running backs, few receivers, and they just did it properly, and they matriculated the ball down the field. And I just like what they do. I think they're fundamentally sound, and that's why they're my number 3 on the Bantam Power Rankings right now. Number 4, Myers Riders.
Yep.
It's between the 2, 3, and 4 seed. I think we're talking splitting hairs here, but Myers Riders have won 3 games. They've won a couple games real close. They've been really close. Last week beating Bell Warriors 7-6 in a real sort of ugly football game in the sense of the scoreboard, but a lot of teaches everyone that you can score many different ways in football, and you got to be aware at all times. So Myers was able to take advantage. They're 3-1. They're 4th on my power rankings. Your Bell Warriors, they're number 5 on my power rankings. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if they would have been able to win this weekend, they would have been a little higher.
Shuffled up a bit,
A little shuffled up, but again, 7-6, and I think you guys you have a lot of inexperienced players. I think you guys every game you're going to learn another lesson. And number 59 had a running touchdown.
Yes.
And you know what? He looked really
Nick
good.
Sims.
He looked actually quite comfortable with that football in his hand, I got to say. When he made that cut, he tucked it in. And
He's capable of getting some hard yards.
So Bell Warriors number 5. I got the Bengals number 6. The first entrance from the Eastern Division. We're talking number 6 here. First entrance from the Eastern Division. But they're dangerous with Kean Williams. If you have Kean in your backfield, they have Aiden Ross on defense.
You better wrap that guy up. If you want to learn more about this Williams kid, go check out his HESN profile and his highlight from the OVFL season. This kid can play some ball. He's for real.
And he was only 15 playing in JV, so this is his rookie year in JV. What we're going to see next season, wherever he plays, it's going to be pretty unbelievable.
Yeah.
And they also, I think we just heard that Lake Corte Moore is now on the Bengals, which obviously is a huge addition to their defense, because I would say he's one of the best defensive players in the city.
Yeah.
So now he's on the team, and I think that's going to be a huge addition. I think I actually saw him play quarterback last week. I think at the end of the game, they were beating up on a team pretty good.
Maybe just trying him out there.
Maybe just put him in there.
Seeing if they need a number 2.
Just get a few reps in there. So you guys can go and check out that highlight. It'll be coming out later today on the HESN YouTube channel and NCAFA.tv as well. Twitter and Facebook, all that goodness is always up there. But check out that Bengals Bantam game. You'll see what I'm talking about. Panthers, number 7 on the power rankings. I think, number 7, they're the second best team in the East. We can say that.
Yep.
But in my opinion, because they beat the Raiders this week, and the Raiders are now the 8th team in the top 8 power rankings, and I think that again,
and still dangerous though. Like here, I looked at the schedule just for the sake of the Warriors team that I'm coaching. I looked at that Raiders team is capable of beating Myers.
Oh yeah,
and we're gonna need them to. And also the Rideau team. The Rideau could beat sorry. I'm getting confused, but there's some games there that the Raiders can win that will help our position in the West?
I think the Raiders have had a pretty tough schedule. They've played the Panthers, I think they've played the Warriors, and I think they've played the Lions. So they've had some tough games so far. They're 2-2. But I really think that basically, I think West Carleton, in my opinion, West Carleton and Bel Air, to me, are the two best teams, and I don't think you can argue that anyone else should be in there. But I really believe from 3 to 8 on any given day, any one of those teams can win.
For sure.
And I think that last weekend was a tough weekend because I believe with the elements being equal, I think we see some different results in some of the games. I think the elements maybe made some of the games a little closer and allowed some things to happen that maybe normally wouldn't. Hopefully get some good weather this weekend. It's going to be great to see what happens this weekend at the Bantam Division. Now we're going to take a quick little look at Midget.
Yep.
Again, I think the Midget's one of those divisions sort of top-heavy. You know what I mean? We have 8 teams this year. We got an addition from Cornwall. We got an addition from Brockville.
Yeah.
Both those 2 teams are pretty solid.
Yeah.
They're not the tough, but
which is good for that league.
Which is good for that league. But we have the Bengals and the Giants at the midget division struggling with numbers a bit. So it's sort of making sort of a bottom heavy. Canada always has a little trouble at the midget division. A lot of those guys go play high school, and high schools come back. So I think a lot of those teams have suffered a bit of hits with the high school football coming back.
There's a big one this week.
But there's a big one this week.
Yeah.
And like you said, so the
Friday night lights, baby.
Eagles are obviously the number 1 team.
And I just want to say, listen, this game on Friday night should be well attended.
This could be the best game of the year in any division of NCAFA because we're talking about 2 evenly matched teams here. So let me just quickly get to it. So I just said Rito to Bengals, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the power rankings. That's fine. All those teams, they're pretty good, but I don't think any of those teams I just mentioned really have a chance to beat the top 3 teams in the league. I think these top 3 teams are the best. Eagles are number 1. They have the most talent. They have probably the most experienced quarterback who's tossing up the most amount of touchdowns, and they got the most weapons. But the number 2 and number 3 team, the Bel Air Norsemen and the Ottawa Stampeders, are tied. They're the exact same team. They are both very skilled, and they can both beat the Eagles if they can keep it all together and focus in and play.
Yeah.
They play on Friday night.
And I'll just say, the quarterback kind of shakeup in the midget division, Quinn Stewart's very, very efficient. He's the most efficient quarterback at that level right now. And he's an HESN guy that's going to have a highlight coming out. And he's being looked at by some Eastern schools.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking to some Eastern schools for that guy is going to get to the next level. But that is a really interesting matchup. We know that week 1, Norsemen played the Eagles, but both teams are going to be different at the end of the season, right?
Oh yeah, like the week 1, the Norsemen beat the Eagles. It was like 37-21 or something like that. But
no, Eagles beat the Norsemen.
The Eagles beat the Norsemen 37-21. But again, I think that's you lose week 1, you sort of realize to yourself you're not as good as you thought you were.
But you know where they are.
And the Eagles are number 1. But this on Friday night, the Norsemen and the Stamps is going to be a great game. Yeah. It's going to be an unbelievable game. It's at the Minto Rec Center, 8:15. That's the new field in Barrhaven. It's a great field.
Yeah.
It's a great field. It's going to be some great lights. It's going to be some great action.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. And I just have to do a shout out to Kerbin's Boisette.
Yeah.
Who's an HESN guy. He's reached out to us.
Original
HESN guy. He's he's got the potential with this season that he's putting up together right now. I think he's playing a hybrid DB linebacker type of role
I call it CFL Sam.
Yeah.
You play it out.
And go check out the Norseman Bengals midget game where he blitzed through the B gap and blew up the running back, knocked his helmet off.
Yeah,
it was a good highlight.
It was a good play.
So you know what? I'm really curious. I'm really looking forward to watching him play in person. I'm going to be at that game on Friday night, and he's a guy that sat as a receiver all summer with the Myers Riders varsity team. He's a first-year varsity for the OV team, and he put in his time, and now I think he's got the opportunity to shine. So I just want to say I'm really looking forward to seeing him play in person.
It's gonna be a great game on Friday night. So we encourage anybody who's a football fan in the city of Ottawa who has a bit of time to go and watch some fantastic football. Go to the Minto Rec Center. It's in Barrhaven. It's the new amazing facility. It's a great field. It's brand new. It's going to be a great football game. Like I said, this could be the game of the year. The Stamps have some unbelievable talent. They have who's number 80? The guy from the Raiders, Darius Beckford. Guy's amazing. He's dominating right now. They have Balzanalo at wide receiver. They have Balzanalo at quarterback. They got the Casenda brothers.
They got Hibbert.
Isaac Casenda. They got JB Cassetta.
Tavon
Hibbert at wide receiver. They got Tavon's brother, Torrey, at wide receiver.
Holy jeez.
They have an amazing assortment of talent on that team. Yeah. And I'm telling you right now.
Afram Jolak on the D-line.
If they can get it all together, like we always say about the Stamps, if they can keep it together, they got some good coaches there. I know this year they got a new coach in there, Julian Maurice Moore's dad.
Yeah.
So he's there. He's doing a great job with the boys. And I'm picking the Stamps to win this game.
Okay.
I'm picking the Stamps to win this game. I'm picking the Stamps to. I think they're really starting to groove. I think that. I think there's going to be some positive momentum there. I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be
I can't wait.
31-25 Stamps. I think it's going to be a great game. Weather dependent. If the weather is going to be raining, I'm going to say let's just take that weather forecast, because I believe if it's raining, the Norsemen will have the advantage, because I do believe that defensively they're going to be able to lay the hammer down a little bit. But I think the skill of the Stamps, throwing the ball around, I think they're going to be able to score a few touchdowns.
We got some internet issues here, but I think it's going to be nice.
I think it's going to be nice too. So it's going to be good. So we encourage everyone to get out and watch that game. The last thing we're going to take a look at since we've looked at the Bantam and the Midget division, we're going to look at the Pee Wee division. And the Pee Wee division right now is probably the most exciting division in football, because we have 5 really, really good teams.
29 and Sun.
29 and sunny. So everyone get your butts out to the football game.
And hey, listen, this might be the last week that before the cold snap too, right? Like
get out there, guys.
We're getting lucky here. It's the 16th of September right now, and we've got 30 degrees and sun.
Let's get out there.
Geez, if you're ever gonna go watch a football game, it's this.
This is gonna be the best. This is the best midget game of the year. The Eagles and Stamps will be another good one, but bottom line is this is gonna be the game of the year so far in midget. The last thing we're gonna look at, like I just said, is the Pee Wee division. Pee Wee division right now is the best division in NCAFA. All the way from tyke to midget, Pee Wee's the best right now. The reason why Pee Wee's the best is there's 4 undefeated teams right now. There's 4 teams right now that are really, really good, starting with the Cumberland Panthers, obviously the team that's been dominating NCAFA for the last 5 years. Those boys have moved up to Pee Wee. They're all there. They're undefeated. They're number 1 in our power rankings. The Bell Warriors are number 2, not far behind.
They look strong,
They're
very
dominating
strong.
everyone.
And you know what? Like if you watch the highlights coming out today of the Pee Wee Myers Riders and Bell Warriors, and we catch up with the head coach Mike Polito at the end, and he talks about his team being all about conditioning. And I know that because one of the running backs, Jake, is a HESN member. Wearing the jersey number one, and running some touchdowns this year. Some great speed on that guy. I know he was working with somebody doing track in the off season, really putting the work in.
Yeah.
But they talk about conditioning, and I hear it from RDC Joe, who's his father, and they run those boys. But it really does translate into the game, because those guys are running and they're just gonna tire out opponents, I think, throughout the year. So it's not a surprise they're number 2.
Yeah, they're a very dominant team. They're on a collision course, I think, for the A Cup, those 2 teams. The Giants are number 3, Canada and the Bengals. I think they're all sort of right in the next grouping. Canada's really good. I think they have a pretty good quarterback at that division. Actually, I think he might be Bantam, but I don't know. Canada and Giants are both very good. We haven't had a chance to see them yet based on a few scheduling issues and a few weather issues, but we will get out to some of their games and make sure that we get some great footage of them. Cornwall, Eagles, and West Carleton round out our Pee Wee power rankings, but I'm really excited to see how the Panthers, the Warriors, the Knights, the Giants, and the Bengals all shake out at the Pee Wee division. It's going to be great. It's all leading down to championship weekend, first weekend in November, I'm assuming. We love that weekend. We got 5 matchups that's going to happen. It's going to be great stuff. So, anything else that we want to talk about on the podcast this week, Mr. Card?
Yes. I think it was important to talk a little bit about some of the guys that have been with HESN for the last couple of years.
Yep.
I wanted to mention that Dan Porter and both Dan Basabambo are linebackers that are being recruited by McMaster.
Okay.
And we saw a picture. Dan Basabambo went down for his visit.
Yep.
McMaster paid for a visit for him to come down on the train and see that Gigi's matchup, that huge game that McMaster pulled off. And he got a full experience of that McMaster campus life. And you know what? He sent a picture, and I just wanted to say that for the players that are an HESN guys, I love it when you guys reach out. I love that Kerbin sent me a picture on Facebook about that hit where he knocked the guy's helmet off.
Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome. So keep up that good work. We want to be up to date with you guys. I know Afram just reached out again recently. We're adding members all the time, and I want to encourage you, if you're a player that's serious about this game, because playing football in Ottawa is no joke. This is a powerhouse city for football. It's only getting better. And if you want to exceed and move on to the next level, you're going to need film. That's the number one tool you use to get recruited. So the sooner you can start building your film library on HESN, on your profile, the better. Because coaches are going to look at your consistency over year after year and your work ethic, not only on the football field, but also in the school. And the reason I talk about this right now and the reason it's so important is because the first HESN event is being held this Sunday, September 20th, prior to the NFL kickoff at 1 p.m. So from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., everyone that's a member is welcome to come to the event. And you know what? We're going to open it up. I take that back. Anyone this week, the first one, is able to come.
Yeah.
And we want to encourage you to, because we have a very special interview and guest with the head coach of the St. James School Preparatory School in Maryland, USA, talk about what he looks for out of Canadian players, and he also dispels some of the myths about playing football in the US.
Yeah.
And we've got a few guys that we also hear from that are currently down there playing football, a little bit about what their thinking was, why they decided to go down there. And I think it's really good to educate the players up here in Canada about not only what's so great about the US, but also what isn't so great about the US and what is awesome about playing in Canada and the systems that we have. So I want to encourage everyone to come out. If you're done your games Friday night, Saturday, or if the games are later in Sunday for you, come by before the NFL kickoffs, before the games, and have an open house and talk about just advancing your career, off-season training. We've got Coach Pat and Coach Donnie Ruiz from Elite Performance Academy are going to be there answering some questions, and they've got a really exciting program where they are going to be dishing out some scholarships.
Yeah.
And these are full scholarships, just like a university would give a player in the NCAA or the CIS would dish out. They are dishing out some awesome opportunities for guys that are training with them. So this is a revolutionary event, I feel, that we've put together for football in Ottawa, and we hope to see you there. We're going to be doing one every single month. So it's simply, if you want to become an HESN member, you go to the hesn.co or click on the links that we have in the highlights and enter your name, register as a football athlete, and get yourself a membership. And we are going to keep with you, adding value all winter long.
And the key to all of this is just really trying to make sure that people are informed, because at the end of the day, people have dreams, people have ambitions, and we want to support anyone's dreams and ambitions. But what we want to make sure is that when people go for those dreams, they have the proper toolkit and they have the proper information so they don't make any false steps. I have seen far too many times in the last 15 years great athletes not be able to maximize their full potential because they weren't getting the proper advice from people that were looking out for their best interest. This isn't just one guy here and one guy there. This is just from people from all over, and not just in football, in any sport. And Jesse and I really feel that with what we're going to be offering these athletes, what we want to do is make sure that you guys just get the proper information. So make sure you guys sign up at hesn.co, become a member. We expect as many people as we can get to come on Sunday. Anytime after 9 a.m., we will have the doors open, 2435 Holly Lane in Ottawa, Ontario. Put it in Google. It's right there. Lots of parking, free parking. Don't worry about anything. It's open house. We're going to have some coffee. We'll have some soda beverages and some juice and a few little knick-knack snacks. So you guys can come just to talk about it. It's going to be great times, and we look forward to seeing anyone who comes to that great event. We also want to remind people, if you don't have a highlight tape yet, make sure you register and get your highlight tape. We're still looking. We're filming tons of games. We're 5 to 7 games every weekend. The more games we film, and the more people that reach out, the more games we'll get out to, the more tape we'll get, and the more opportunity we have for highlight films. So we want to thank everybody who does support HESN for their support, and we want to thank everybody for watching all these great highlight tapes and videos that we put out, listening to our podcasts. We've been getting amazing results on the podcast so far, as always. So thank you guys very much for that. That is it for episode 4 of the HESN Football Podcast. That was another good one.
Yep.
And we look forward to listening to you guys, talking to you guys next week. It'll be episode 5. We'll be looking back at how Carleton did and how the power rankings get shuffled up at the NCAFA division. I want to thank everyone for listening.
if you've got anything to say about anything that we've said,
Yeah.
leave your comments in the blog on HESN. We want to hear from you. I love the fact that last week we talked about number 94 on the D-line of the Bell Warriors, Ethan, and somebody reached out and said this is who he is.
Yeah.
He was from the Beckwith League,
Yeah.
and now we know that, so it's great.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
We just want people to connect because we're out here putting ourselves out there. We love it. So if you don't like what we said, challenge us. If you love it, support us. We love it. Let us know what you think. HESN Football Podcast. I'm Tyler McLaren. Peace.